Son, and Holy Spirit. Please be seated. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Does that make sense to anyone in here? Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Does that make sense to anybody? He says, St. Paul says, beware of the leaven of the corrupt ones. Beware of the leaven of the corrupt, earthly bound ones who are focused on the here and the now, and in evil, and in self-gratification, and in having sex with each other's mothers. They're holding everybody down. They're preventing the liberation. They're holding everybody into a pattern of self-destruction and self-imprisonment that our human race has been doomed to ever since the fall of Adam and Eve. People stuck in this. And you have government people and church people saying, "Whoa, just obey, conform. Just do what we tell you to do. You'll be all right." He said, beware of that. Not remember the miracle of feeding the 5,000? 5 loaves and 2 fish? Do not remember the miracle of feeding 4,000 with 7 loaves? Do you not remember this? Well, they remembered it, but they didn't get it, did they? Because he hadn't explained it to them yet, or maybe he did explain it, but they didn't remember what his explanation meant. They didn't understand. 5 loaves, 2 fish, 7 loaves. No problem. It's not about the number. It's about the ability to reach across a dimension and pull out a whole basket full of fish. Reach across a dimension and pull about a whole basket of bread. It's not about bread. What you need for your sustenance of your body can be obtained by creating it. Reach across a dimension of time and space and bring it to you. You are not dependent, enslaved on those who would imprison you into lack of things. Our imprisonment is about being certain of fear and death and the punishment for crimes. Wages of sin. You see that the message is liberation from our bodies. Liberation from our dependency upon, do we have enough to eat? Do we have a place to stay? Do we have enough of things in order to justify ourselves in front of others, and then suddenly die and everybody else gets it? Jesus is teaching us emphatically, be a light unto the Gentiles. You understand what light is? Light is an energy. Light is a vibration. Light is sound. And it's different spectrum, the whole spectrum of radiant energy, which is God Himself, imbued in each and every one of you to become like God Himself, in the sense of be the light into the world. Be the light of the world while you're in the world. Jesus said it. He says, and do like I do. Be the light of the world while you're in the world. Nourish the world through your holy light that shines from me through you to the rest of the world, the ends of the earth. Be liberated from your passions, your fears, and your dependencies. Dare I say your addictions? Safely say, I think I can safely say, that all of the addictions of the world are mere substitutes for a misplaced desire for gratification, love, or self-justification. I'm okay. See, I can get high. I'm okay. See, I can get drunk. I'm okay. See, I can avoid the fear of the terrors of the night that I know are trying to get me. We use our substitutes for a prayer life that says, I have attained salvation by faith in Christ Jesus. Through him, I know that I am in my body, but I am not in my body. I am walking through this life as a way of experiencing this life and to attain salvation and realization. And from that realization, I can turn around and help others to attain theirs also. And we can all go as ascended beings. We can all go into our eternity without saying, you're not worthy. You're condemned. You are not with us, so therefore you're unsaved, if not unsavory. These imprisonments, and there are many of them, we can list them: pride, ambition, vainglory, hypocrisy, prejudice, self-justification at the expense of other people. Look at me, you say. Thank God I'm not like that poor person. So it's the concept of being free from that. I had a conversation with a man this week. He's a ham radio operator, and he lives in West Virginia. And he worked all his life in a coal mine. And he said, you know, my life in the coal mine was one of living in a dark place with artificial light, and the air was foul. The air was filled with dust and vapors. And it made the work exceptionally hard. You had to work harder because it wasn't like you had enough oxygen in your lungs. He said the work was hard, but they made it harder because of the environment that I was in. I said, well, what about the OSHA regulations? He says, oh yeah, they were there. They would come in every once in a while and sniff around with a sniffer and say, oh, it's good. And they go out from the mine, and someone would hand them like $50. I said, thanks very much for your kind report. Now get back to work, you. He said, I lived my whole life in there. I spent 25 years in the mine, breathing that foul air. And there came a day when I retired from that, and I was able to go and, my family took a vacation. I had earned enough money. My family got in the station wagon, and we went on vacation, and we went to the top of the mountain. And I went to the top of the mountain, and when I got to the top of the mountain, I took a deep breath, and I said, oh, whoever knew there was air like this to breathe? It changed my whole life, he said, to breathe that clean, fresh, crisp air at the top of the mountain. I had spent my life in that dank air. And now I know what clean, pure air is. He said that experience changed my whole life and outlook on Christianity and the church and human race and ascension and salvation and all these words that we kick around, justification and righteousness and all these things. It's about being able to breathe clean air and have new life within you that purifies you. You can think clearly. Poisoning ourselves with smoke, other things that have priorities, that cloud our judgment, cloud our right-thinking mind, that lead us into patterns of behavior which we know are self-destructive. But if I don't take from you, you're going to take from me, so I better get mine from you first before you get it from me. The mountain of righteousness into this grace-filled Christ. Remember the miracle of the feeding of 5,000. He just reached across and pulled the fish and the bread into the baskets and fed all the people, and they were filled and nourished. And they had so many baskets left over. The leaven of Christians is the leaven of awareness of the truth of you, realization that grace is within us. This universe, as you hear me say a lot, there are many universes. What is a universe? It's a subset. It's a set of existences. In mathematics, we have brackets and parentheses to designate sets and subsets. And that set can be combined with other sets and subsets to come up with an answer. Other universes may not have life. They may not have longevity. They may not have time. They may not have gravity. They may not have spatial distances. They may not have life. This universe is life. Scientists have recently discovered that the vacuum of space is not really a vacuum. Yeah, there's not very much air pressure. They've discovered water in space. Vast amounts of water. Water in stars. Water vapor. In stars? Water being expelled from nebula. What are nebula? Nebula are places in space that generate stars. And they're generating stars and expelling water. It's like we're in an ocean of water everywhere in the universe. They've discovered this only within the last 3, 4, 5 years. What a discovery. It changes everything. Back in the 1800s, 1890s, 1888, there was a theory among physicists that talked about the ether, because they could count at that point that the matter, if you add up the weight and density of all the matter that was observable in the universe at that time, it didn't calculate, it didn't balance. They knew they were missing a whole bunch of stuff. So, in order to have all these galaxies and stars and planets orbiting around the whole universe, and you'd say, well, where's all the rest of the stuff? There must be something that holds it all together. Is it just gravity and inertia? Is it just time and space? What is it? It must be the ether So they set about devising experiments to prove the existence of the ether. They did it by trying to measure light. Come to one of my sermons, you're going to get a physics lesson, I'm sorry. But they did it by trying to measure light. And that was before Einstein said that light and matter are the same thing, related by constant. They failed. Because their whole idea was that with the light, all they could see was light. And obviously there's no sound in space. We can't hear anything in space, there's not any air. If they had gone into the Syrian ancient Christian texts, they would have known that everything in the universe is sound. Everything is a vibration. The first thing in the Bible is God said, "Let there be light." And He divided the waters from the heavens. What? A medium through which vibration. You hear me talking continuously. Some people say, "Father, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand the word you say." Because I'm talking all the time about multidimensional, multifaceted realities and existences coexisting at the same time. And I said, "But don't you understand what Jesus said when He said the kingdom of God is at hand? Don't you understand the miracle of feeding the 5,000, or the 4,000, or the ability to create a whole new body for a leper in an instant that has no leprosy, or to bring back a man from the dead 4 days in the tomb as if he had never been dead? Don't you understand how the multiple existences of coexistent realities and multidimensional facets of existence exist in the mind of Christ? And all these causes and effects relationships are available to us as spirit. As spirit. Not as body. Therefore, it is necessary that we lay down our bodies and ascend into His consciousness. But we are in bodies for a reason, right? To go through this life as a means by which we can experience hot, cold, thirst, hunger. By which I would offer to you, where we can offer ourselves as a living and holy sacrifice for the redemption of an imprisoned planet. How does it work exactly? Is it some superstition? All religions seem to have some sacrifice involved that involves some sort of blood. Even the Satanists say, "Well, we're going to go sacrifice a chicken to Moloch." Or a child in abject terror and fear. The demonic side, the demonic forces feed off of that fear. They feed off of fear. That's their necessity to keep you in fear. And feed off your energy of negative and fear and anger and hatred and bitterness and jealousy, greed, avarice, and ambition. Immoralities that lead to harm of other people. They feed. Jesus gives us Christianity as an antidote to those things, as a means of transcending the fall. To transcend the fall, you must ascend from all of those gravitational things that hold us down, that keep us shackled and imprisoned of our own mind, thinking that there's nothing else, sin and death, fear and terror, and people, spooks that are going to get you. You have come into realization through these gospel teachings that you are who you are, and you've always been who you are. And that the who you are is the truth of who Christ created you to be, which is an ascendant eternal being, freed from death and freed from all these sinful things. Set them aside, you don't need them anymore. Yeah, but I still gotta have a cigarette. Do you? Okay, well, if for now it's not an all or nothing thing, you can sort of, well, the things that I wish I would do, I don't do. The good that I desire to do, I don't do, because I have still all these things that pull me back down to earth. And I still feel that somebody's going to get me. Most of that comes about because people have got us before. People have been hurt before. People have been lied to, abandoned, sold out, attacked before. And so we remember those things. They have a psychic memory. We have to go back and revisit them again and again and again. And so around and around we go until you create a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it happens again. Surprise. In order to break that cycle, we have Christian faith. And this Christian faith says, you can come to me and I'll give you rest from all of that. Whenever you're ready to abandon your fear, to abandon your greed, to abandon your self-mutilations that people do to themselves in order to justify how they, to other people, how they ought to be loved instead of cast aside. You are the living, breathing antidote. You, each and every one of you, are sent on a mission to be the light of the world while you're in the world. You are sent on a mission to help that neighbor who's going through it to get out of it. You are sent on a mission to be kindness to people who don't deserve it. They've done nothing to merit you being kind to them. But yet, we're told to love them anyway, and to be kind to them, and feed them, and console them in a time of grief. This is your work in this world. While we're in our process of ascending and transcending, your work is a holy mission. Workers of God. Because you have been given this insight and this revelation, and you made statements of faith, I believe. Because you have made these things, you are now able to take the leap of faith and say, well, are you sure I can heal the sick? I don't know if I can. Well, then you can. Are you sure I can walk on the water? I can't walk on the water. Sink. It's a process, isn't it? It's a process of going through a life and reconvincing and convincing and reconvincing ourselves that these gifts are our gifts to be utilized. That these gifts of mind and spirit are your gifts to be able to use for eternity, for the benefit of everything, to leaven the whole batch in goodness and kindness and mercy, compassion, and forgiveness of sins, which is healing and reconciliation. All the peace and wars were ended because of us, because of you. Do your work and gain your realization. And as the process unfolds, let Jesus make up the difference. Say, well, I don't know if my faith is strong enough to heal her or heal him, but yours is. Please, heal this fallen world. So we'll go out and bring me people who love me. Hope you understand that being a Christian means that you're no longer a spectator in this process. You must be a participant. You must be a worker of forgiveness, a worker of patience, a worker of compassion, a worker of kindness. You must do these things. It's your calling. It's your identity. You must do these things. The leaven of the Pharisees was, and the scribes, beware of that, because they want to entrap you into the cloudy, dark, dank air of the minds and keep you imprisoned. Why? So they can get their coal at your expense and have you feel grateful for the experience of being a slave of the minds. Ascend to the mountaintop, breathe the clean air, be transformed by it. And as Jesus on the mountaintop was transfigured before their eyes, you are transfigured before everyone's eyes, and you are no longer of this world, but in it. And we choose to stay in it in order to help the other ones. Don't you? I hope you understand these concepts of physical realities. I hope I haven't talked over anyone's head. I think, looking around, I think everybody gets it. I think you get it, and I hope you can keep it.